In this episode, I go over my top 10 picks for New Comic Book Day, November 17th, 2021. What's going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, this is the show where I break down my top 10 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, November 17th, 2021. And as always, it is a great week for comic books. So many good titles. And this particular week, it was tough to kind of order some of these because there's just so many good ones out there. And so I'm really looking forward to it. Before I get into that list, make sure you smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. I know this week has been crazy. It's been, I just had this big 1K celebration for crossing 1K subscribers on YouTube here. If you guys missed that, maybe go check out some of it. It's super long, like 4 hours long, but it was so much fun. And it's just such a great reminder of how much I love this community. Appreciate everybody who came out and supported Monday night or watched the replay. Really incredible. And I'll leave it at that. You guys can check out the extra 4 hours of awesomeness at some other time. Hashtag still backstage for some of you. With that said, then after that, Tuesday, I had 3 nights of streaming, three shows back to back, which was always fun. Always a good time to do that. I feel like I haven't done that in a while. So, kind of nice to get back into that kick there. And then, now we're here Thursday morning, 12:30 Eastern, so morning-ish. If you're watching right now, if you're in the live chat, if you're in the premiere chat, thank you so much for hanging out with me here as always. So I'm going to go over my list here. Again, these are just books that I'm looking forward to, books I'm excited for that are about to come out. If you have any recommendations, if you think there's a book that's not on this list that should be on this list, let me know in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts on that, what you're reading right now. If you agree or disagree with my list here, I'm always open to hearing what the community is all about in terms of what they are diving into these days. So with all that being said, let's get into the first book here. So looking at it here, I'm going with Nubia and the Amazons, which, by the way, I did not read issue 1. The reason why I wanted to put this on here is because multiple people really talking very highly about this. One that I wanted to shout out was my good friend Sheena, She the Geek, aka HK Wifey, if you're here in the chat or watching this later. But appreciate you. I know you had a lot of great things to say about this with your friend Jay Rails. You've been doing the live stream Instagram, which has been awesome. Love seeing that you're doing that. You guys had some really great things to say about issue 1 of Nubia. So I figure I think that's something that I want to give that a shot. I want to go back into it because that was initially something that I had looked past because I'm just reading so many things right now. And 2, just wasn't very familiar with kind of the concept of it, other than, it's Wonder Woman-ish style. I know it's not Wonder Woman herself, but it takes place with the Amazons and all that other stuff, which I'm not really keeping up with at this moment, but I don't want to let that stop me. So going on what I've heard a lot of people say, really enjoyed it, I'm gonna give it a shot. So that's my number 10 pick of the week, Nubia and the Amazons, issue number 2. And of course, I'm gonna go back and read issue 1 because gotta start there. So let's see, going into my number 9 pick, I'm going to go with Campisi, The Dragon Incident, issue number 3. I've talked about this series ever since issue 1 and 2 came out. I love them. Absolutely love the storyline. Really like where it's going. I feel like this kept getting pushed back. I'm not sure why. This is an Aftershock book. But I think that it got pushed back like 2 or 3 times now already. I'm hoping that it is accurately coming out on the 17th this time around. Let's see, James Patrick's doing the writing, Marco Licati doing the artwork. All of it's been fantastic. And if you guys if you're not reading it, I highly recommend it. Essentially about this dragon who's visiting this town and is demanding a certain a set of things or that they want. And there's this one guy, his name's Sonny, who basically is like the town. What's the word? He works for the mob, but he's like a young kid kind of, and he helps with like a lot of really small things like preventing the first issue was like someone wanted to set up a hot dog stand somewhere, and he's like, hey, get your hot dogs out of here, you can't set up here for whatever. It's very funny, like it's got some really interesting humor that's tied into it, and at the same time he's like this gangster kind of, and he just helps take care of the town folk and in doing so, this dragon that's visiting, he's kind of like butting heads now and trying to figure out, this dragon is talking. There's a whole futuristic thing to it. But anyways, I was really surprised how much I enjoyed the first 2 issues, and so I definitely want to continue with that for issue number 3. So keep an eye on that. That's gonna be my number 9 pick of the week. Kim PC, The Dragon Incident, issue number 3, and there is my dog. All right, going into my... All right. I think he settled down. I'm going to go into my number 8 pick of the week, and that is going to be Robin's issue number 1. And maybe this needs to be moved up even, but there was a lot of great things here. But let me just clarify. I don't know much about the other Robins. I mean, I'm still new to Nightwing, right? Getting into just knowing more about, and I should say Dick Grayson, right? And also Damian Wayne, because I am learning more about Damian Wayne as well as I'm reading the new Robin title. But Robins is a little different. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. Looking at it here, Tim Seeley doing the writing, which I know Tim Seeley has done Nightwing in the past. I know he has experience with the character, at least, like I said, at least for Dick Grayson. The rest of them, I mean, other than some of the general stuff that I've learned from the films, I don't know much about. But I will say, reading this description here made it sound like something I'm really excited for. Or it made it sound like something I think is going to be great. There are the dogs again. Let's see. So this is titled, the first issue here, titled Being Robin. So I'm just going to read this a little bit to you because I really think the concept of this it's just something I've been more and more interested in as I've been exploring some of the DC series lately, even just some of the older stuff. It says the five heroes have donned the Robin cape and mask, find themselves at a crossroad in their lives. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, who I know Tim Drake. I haven't read much on him. Stephanie Brown, don't know anything about Stephanie Brown, and Damian Wayne come together to discuss the big thing that binds them together. Was being Robin and Batman's sidekick the best choice they could have made? But before they can get to the heart of the matter, they're ambushed by an unknown assailant with a bone to pick with them. She claims to have been the first Robin, and she's out to prove Batman should have never trained any of them. Winner of DC's Round Robin tournament, as chosen by you, the readers. So I don't know, again, a lot of the history of some of them, but I really like the idea of these Robins coming together. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about their origin stories. I mean, I don't know how they're going to tie all that in together, but I just have this feeling it's going to be a heartfelt series, and I'm all about that. So, and especially me getting more and more involved with enjoying the Nightwing stuff and the Robin stuff. Yeah, definitely want to learn more about the others that are included in this. So that is why it's on my list at number 8, and really probably should be higher on the list. I have a good feeling about this. I really do. I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope it's good. So we'll see. So that's gonna be my number 8 pick of the week, Robin's issue number 1. And we will jump into number 7, which is going to go to Eat the Rich, issue number 4. This has been a fantastic series. And also, I think this is just finishing up after, I think it's only 5 issues altogether. So, we're kind of, we're past that halfway point now. Boom Studios doing a tremendous job all year. It's, everything they've been putting out has been fantastic. I will say, look at this cover. I mean, absolutely just badass, I guess, to say the least, right? I mean, so intriguing. I always talk about this with Omni X-Men. Like, if you could walk by that cover on the shelf and didn't know anything about it, would you be interested in it? And for a cover like that, like, absolutely. So yeah, this has just been fantastic. Sarah Gailey doing the writing, the artist Pius Bach, also been fantastic. So overall, the title of this, Eat the Rich, is not quite what is going on here. There are these rich folk, and essentially they have this tradition of eating the people that work for them, essentially. Those who have worked a long time for them. We've learned now that really the help, as they refer to them as, they have like butlers and maids and babysitters and all different types of help that work for the rich here at this particular town. And one of the deals that they do is they provide them a life, like good pay, good salary, takes care of them their whole life. But at the end, they are kind of sacrificed in a way. I don't know if sacrifice is a word. And then some gruesome things happen. So, anyways, that's kind of the general concept of where we're going with this. And it's, of course, based around this one girl. Her name is Joey, who is new to the family as she's been dating this guy. And they went off on visiting the family for the first time. And so just with all this, Joey has kind of stumbled on seeing what these traditions are, and is, of course, completely disgusted by it. But, some things go on in the later issues that kind of flip some things around. So I'll leave it at that. But either way, Eat the Rich, fantastic, really enjoying it. And I hope you're reading it if you're not already. Definitely worth checking out. And maybe at this point, if you haven't been reading it, maybe you wait for the trade. Who knows? But either way, I'm aboard. So that's why it's on the list here. So Eat the Rich, issue number 4 is my number 7 pick of the week. All right, going into my number 6. This is probably the farthest back that this series has been on my list in terms of a new book coming out for the top 10. And I'm going to go with Nightwing 86, issue 86, which sounds weird because you guys know, and as I was just talking about the Robins, like how much I love Nightwing and how much I love what Tom Taylor has been doing with Nightwing. I brought it back a little bit because it's tied into the Fear State stuff. And I'm still a little behind on the Fear State stuff. I have been trying to stick with it, and I am enjoying what I've been reading so far. But I am behind on some things. But because of that, the writing and everything obviously has a different agenda, and not one that necessarily is what I don't think Tom Taylor has intended. Based on the first 6 issues when he first jumped in from Nightwing 78, like that was all awesome. And so yeah, this is a part 3 of the Fear State event that's going on in the main Batman, Tynion Batman series. So, they're still continuing to kind of tell a story based on that. So I don't know if this is the last one or if there's going to be one more. I know it's coming up close to an end. Fear State as a whole is going to be coming to an end soon. So I think that I am going to be a little extra excited, or back to my original excitement level, when Fear State ends. And again, that's no knock on Fear State, although I know not a lot of people are enjoying it right now. I am enjoying what I've read, but yeah, it's just not exactly what Tom Taylor gave us in the first 6 issues. And like I said, he's kind of having to go off on a different route based on the fact that it's part of this bigger event. So, but I will, obviously keep with it. Still really enjoying it overall as a whole, and I think it's going to even get even better as Tom is able to jump back on his own course. So that's going to be my number 6 pick of the week, Nightwing issue number 86. All right. Before we go any further, I want to do my shout out of the week, community shout out of the week, and it is going to go to my good friend Sadé Paige, aka What Page Is It, over on Instagram and also on YouTube. And the cool extra bit about Sadé is she's going to be my guest for Comic Collector Origins this Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern. So if you all have nothing to do on Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern, come swing by the channel, as I will be interviewing her for Comic Collector Origins. If you're not familiar with Origins, it's all about the community. It's where I interview community members and ask them about their origin of how they got into the love of this hobby. So really looking forward to getting to know Paige, Sadé Paige, even more. I always want to call her Paige because of her name. What Page Is It? Rolls off the tongue real easy. But shout out to Sadé. Love everything that you're doing. She has a ton of content that she puts over on YouTube. Sadé also has a bunch of content over on Instagram, and it's all very, very entertaining, very fun. And even now, recently, she's been breaking down a lot of the new books that have been coming out and giving us a little review of some of the new stuff coming out. So definitely check her out. And like I said, swing by the channel at Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern time, and you'll be able to get to learn a little bit more about Sadé. So Sadé, if you're watching, appreciate you. Can't wait for Saturday. Now let's get back into the list. Going into my number 5 pick, I think it is pretty suitable that this is an issue number 5, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And I have to say, this has been such a how do I put this? Just such an enjoyable read, and it's one that it's not a superhero type of a series. I mean, I don't know. Me personally, when I think of Supergirl, I then think of Superman, and then I just think of, heroes and capes and kind of cliche, boring stuff. That's kind of where my mind goes. I've never read Supergirl up until I started reading this particular series. And one of the reasons I wanted to give this a shot was because it's by Tom King. And Tom King, I'm a big fan of, especially when he writes these miniseries or maxi series. I know this series right here is going to be 8 issues total. So we're just past the halfway point here as well. One of the great things about this, and again, I'm very new to Supergirl. I think that this is a series you do not need to know any. I mean, there's nothing that you need to know about. You do not need to know anything about Supergirl, other than the general idea of that she has these Superman-like powers, these super abilities. Other than that, the history there, there's no requirement. So if you are listening to this right now or watching this right now and wondering if maybe it's for you or that you'd want to give it a shot, and yet you've never read Supergirl before, I would say go for it. It is, I think, well worth it, very enjoyable, and I just love Tom King's writing in this. So the other cool thing about this that stands out to me is that each issue is kind of a standalone issue in a way. They're kind of on these like missions within a mission, but basically it's Supergirl has kind of vowed to help this girl. Her name is Ruth, who she met on another planet, and Ruth, right off the bat in the first issue, her father gets murdered, and she is essentially trying to avenge him. And she's been trying to like get help from other people, and there have been people along the way who have tried to take like advantage of Ruth or just dismiss Ruth altogether, until Supergirl came along. And to be fair, even she tried to dismiss Ruth in the beginning. But now it's interesting to see their relationship and how they've come to really work well together. And I think one of the biggest things I like about this is the dialogue, the back and forth in the relationship building that we get from these characters. Again, Ruth not being a significant character in any way before this, at least not that I know of, and the world knowing who Supergirl is. So it's just a really great way, I think, Tom King is kind of combining these two characters, and again telling a story that is very engaging and very clever. I like a lot of the things about it, that kind of the way that he's developing these characters. So I'll leave it at that. But certainly, if you're not reading Supergirl and you're looking for something to that effect, I would say check this out as well, as we are getting through the halfway point. Also, the artwork has really grown on me. The artist here, Bilkis Evely, I think I'm saying that right. Fantastic stuff, and I think it just goes really well with the series overall. So kudos to Tom King. Looking forward to more of this, and that's going to be my number 5 pick of the week. All right, going into number 4. Let's see. I'm going with this book right here, Dark Ages, issue number 3. Going back to Tom Taylor, right? Keep going back and forth between these Toms. Again, that's one of the reasons why I gave this randomly a shot, because Tom Taylor, ever since he did what he did with Nightwing, I'm like, okay, anything Tom Taylor comes out with, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to dive right in. And I've talked about Dark Ages before. If you have not read Dark Ages, it is very epic. It's a standalone. It doesn't really take anything. It's like an event on its own, I should say. It doesn't tie into any of the current runs that are going on right now, at least not that I know of. There's nothing that you really need to know about in order to get into this, but just read issue number 1, and I personally think you'll be hooked. I know I was hooked. So the main premise of this is that the world essentially goes dark. There's a big event that happens in the first issue, and it kind of jumps ahead in the future. There are certain superheroes that have survived and are living in what is, the Dark Ages now, and trying to figure out a way to turn things back on and get even just like electricity and power back, and save the world all in one. And of course, there's this darker evil that is out in the world right now that is something that they need to team up with and take care of. So I will kind of leave it at that. I will say issue 1 gave me like Infinity War type vibes, emotions, I should say. I was like, there are some parts that are like devastating, like, oh man, what are they going to do now? Like, how are they going to get out of this? And it's just such a huge event that's where I'm getting this like emotion from, of comparing it to something like an Infinity War, the film I'm referring to. So yeah, epic, just epic stuff. And Tom Taylor just crushing it. So definitely on board for issue number 3 here, and that is why it's my number 4 pick of the week. So let's see, we're going into my number 3 now, and again, these last couple, they are all really, condensed here. But my number 3 pick is going to be Primordial issue number 3, and I actually just caught up and read issue number 2, because issue number 2 came out, it got pushed back, and then I got tied up in my other books. Yeah, it was just like a bunch of things that delayed me on reading issue 2. But I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I did recently. It's fresh on my mind, and I am loving this series. It is a Jeff Lemire. I mean, first and foremost, right? I don't know if you've heard me talk about Jeff Lemire before, but he is another one of my absolute favorite writers right now, and I mean, really, ever since I've really been collecting and getting into comics. So Andrea Sorrentino is the artist here, and that's another big reason why I want to get into this series, is because these two are the creative team that did Gideon Falls. If you guys have not read Gideon Falls, I highly recommend that. And so yeah, Primordial is a kind of a sci-fi mystery, or a futuristic mystery that takes place where the government was trying to test out subjects, these monkeys that they sent out into space, as well as the Russians, who are also sending out a dog, which we learn a little bit more about in the last issue. And a lot of reports from both governments kind of disappeared out of nowhere. No one talked about it, and that was kind of it. And there's this new doctor who gets hired to kind of come in and clean up, to make sure that, if there's any last data that could be used for any other reasons, that he take that for other projects and move on, basically. But to him, he has no idea about that. He starts to figure some things out, that timelines don't match up with where these animals were pronounced dead, and what happened to these subjects. And he's starting to figure out that there is much more being covered up here, that he's stumbling upon that he's not supposed to be. And so that's kind of where this is leading, where he thinks that just maybe, these animals are still alive right now in space, in this project still that was initially launched. So really great concept, really fun stuff. And the artwork I cannot get enough of. Like I said, I mean, it brought me back to Gideon Falls type of style. With the art, with the panel layout, everything about it. It's dark, it's a dark issue, or series, I should say. And again, like a mystery, kind of figuring out what's going on. So, very much so looking forward to this next issue here. So that's gonna be my number 3 pick of the week, Primordial issue number 3. All right, going into my number 2 pick here, man, I feel like this issue, or this series, it's always up in my top 2, and it always just gets squeezed out by another series for my number 1 pick. So my number 2 pick here is Not All Robots issue number 4, and it is definitely up there as one of my absolute favorite reads right now. AWA Upshot, they've been doing a fantastic job. Mark Russell doing the writing, Mike Deodato doing the artwork, which is one of the initial reasons why I wanted to give this a shot. Not All Robots, very similar vibes, I guess you could say, to, or I shouldn't say similar vibes, but like there are parts and pieces that definitely reflect something that could remind you of I, Robot, like the film. And yes, so it takes place in the future, 2056, as it says here. Robots essentially have replaced humans in the workforce. And humans they still exist, they still matter, but they don't work. They basically have a robot that works, that runs the house for them. The robot goes out and works in the workforce for them and makes money to have food on the table for them and all this other stuff. And yet the humans are almost starting to feel trapped, like they are prisoners almost. And there's a lot of like drama, a lot of like political drama. And I'm not a political guy. I've said this before when I've talked about not all robots in the past. But I really like and appreciate the thought that was put into this as to if we really lived in this type of world, and maybe one day we, scarily enough, get close to this, what would it look like? What would some of the issues be in the world? And how would that be handled? I know that the first issue opens up where they're talking about, they have a robot who's the host, and then they have another robot sitting at one end of the table and a human sitting at the other end of the table, and they basically debate. And it's like the news. It's like turning on the news, and they're broadcasting to the world, and they're both basically both always kind of debating and arguing about why they matter. Without robots, no one would get anything done, as the robots would say. And then humans are like, yeah, well, without us, you would have never even existed, and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of like back and forth and a lot of different details that go into play that I think is very clever. And I really appreciate the writing in this. So if you guys think you're into something like that, I would say definitely jump on board with this. Not all robots will not disappoint. I love it. I think it's great. And I'm really excited to see kind of how this is going to wrap up, because I think it's only 5 issues as well. So this being issue number 4. So we will see. But either way, that's going to be my number 2 pick of the week. Not All Robots, issue number 4. And again, easily could be number 1. Whoa, time out. I have to change up just a little bit in this list before we get to number 1. There is a book that I missed initially going through this list. I don't know how I missed it, but it certainly should be up here on the list. So consider everything we just have seen so far just be pushed back 1. Or I'll make it easier and we'll just call it 2.5, right? 2B. 2A and 2B. We just talked about 2A, 2B. I have to bring up Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue number 5 that's coming out next week as well. I had to throw this back in here. I had to come back on camera here, throw this in here real quick, because this is definitely a top series for me right now. And again, Tom Taylor. I keep talking about him. Several issues on my list are by Tom Taylor at this point. And yeah, just absolutely loving what he's doing with Superman, Son of Kal-El. And again, going back to just mentioning like Supergirl, like talking about the idea of some of these DC characters that, for me, I never really read, never really got into before or just prior to this past year. Superman, like I never thought I'd be reading any Superman. And here I am. And not only am I reading it, but I am loving it. I know this is the son of Superman, so Jonathan Kent, it's all about him. His story now, Tom Taylor has taken over to kind of create or write the direction of that character. And I really am enjoying the way it's going. Again, Superman, to me, the idea of him has always been like kind of this dry, basic kind of, superhero capes and villains and I don't know, things that I didn't think I'd be excited for. However, the way Tom Taylor is writing this particular story, this series, and being that it's Jonathan Kent, I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. Loving the topics that it touches on. A lot of emotion, and yeah, very on board with that. So just, cheating here, adding an extra number here to the list. I guess I'm, keeping it top 10, but we'll just call this 2A and 2B-ish before we get into number 1. But had to throw that in there. I'll let the tape roll here from here. All right, before I get into the last one here, just want to first thank everybody here who's in the Premiere chat. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on this Thursday. If you ever want to try to join the actual Premiere chat that I do here, it's every Thursday, 12:30 Eastern. You're more than welcome to jump in with us here. It's always a good time. Appreciate everybody who is, chatting away. I know, shout out to Copy 801. He's usually giving us a count of how many of the books I want to get. He usually gives us a count of how many he's actually going to be buying. And lately it's been like 0 for 10 or 1 for 10. So hopefully we get him to 1 or 2, maybe even 2 for 10 here on this list. I'm very curious, Copy, what number you're at right now. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for just hanging out as always. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, a lot of stuff coming up in the works right now. Got some new ideas as well that I'll have kind of, I'll mention those things later too. So, and of course, as always, if you're watching this right now, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know about if you agree with this list, if you disagree, if you think I missed something. Always open to hearing that stuff. So appreciate all of you. Let's get into number one here. And of course, my number one pick has to go to The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 6 by James Tynion. Oh my goodness, this has just been my favorite. I mean, I feel like I'm throwing that word around a lot with all these books, the word favorite, but it really is. This might be my read of the year. I mean, it's very close. It's very close. It's been fantastic. It's a horror book. If you're into horror, it's like mystery horror. I mean, there's a lot of stuff trying to be, being figured out right now. But it has just been so good. Tynion's doing a really good job of this. I don't know how many issues that this actually is, but I'm just looking here now. Ending on a cliffhanger. Oh no. It looks like after this issue that they may take a little break until March. It says yeah, reopen in March 2022. All right. Well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. I assume that this is going to kind of wrap up this first story arc, even though each issue has kind of been a one-off in a way. Like, we're learning little things about the house each time, and in doing so, we're learning about individual characters each step of the way. There's like 12 characters that are involved in this. And if you don't know what Nice House on the Lake is, I should clarify too. Generally speaking, Nice House on the Lake, all about these individuals that have kind of come together based on one friend that they all kind of have in common, one way, shape, or form. And they all get invited to this house, this really nice house that's on a lake. And when they do, the minute that they are invited to this house, they all come here, the world dies, basically. I mean, people die. It is a very gruesome. It's not for kids. This is not for kids. And it's very violent. And even to the idea of like Twitter going dark, like no one tweeting because the world people die. And they're all freaked out. They find out they can't leave the house. They're trying to figure out why they can't leave the house. What are they going to do when they run out of food? How are they going to survive? Why are they here? Why them? How do they get in touch with their family? How do they know if anyone else in the world has survived? Why is this happening? All these different things are going on. So it is a fantastic read. My girlfriend's reading it. It's one of her favorites right now, and she's not even that big of a comic book reader, but this is definitely one she's always looking forward to. And the way Tynion writes is just so well done. I love the kind of the long form that he fits in some of this. Like, some of these pages he takes where he'll put like a letter that writes from a character to another character or something like that. And in doing so, you just get so much more story. I know you get a lot of that type of tactic in Department of Truth, which is another favorite of mine. But yeah, it's just a fantastic read, and I do recommend it if you're not already reading it. I think this is a great time to jump in. And I don't mean jump in at issue 6. I mean go back to 1 and binge all the way to 6. And you'll be all caught up. So certainly plenty of time to do so. And also Alvaro Martinez Bueno doing the artwork. Some more great stuff there as well. And oh, sweet. I was just looking at cover B here, a little trippy as well. Wow. Very cool. So looking forward to it. That's going to be my number one pick of the week. Nice House on the Lake, issue number 6. If you're not reading it, I highly recommend checking it out. At least try issue 1. See what it's all about. See if it's for you. I know it's definitely for me, and I'm excited for more. So that's all I got for the list. That's my list for my top 10 for New Comic Book Day, coming out next week, November 17th, 2021. I'm very curious what you are all going to be picking up. Let me know in the comment section below. And do me a favor. I know I've been asking these favors. Leave me a comment with the little book emoji, little stack of books or something that has to do with reading. If you're a fan of reading, and drop it in there. And I'm going to add you to, again, this kind of reel that I'm going to be doing here shortly, a giveaway, I should say. If you've been watching these over the course of the past couple of weeks, you know what I'm talking about. We'll probably hit it on the next one, have some sort of wheel, some fun with that, and give away something fun. So leave a comment. I appreciate the support. Thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later.